of matrices. The first type of matrix is a column matrix, and a column matrix is a matrix which has one column, all right, and that is why it's called a column matrix. So it can have one column and one row, or one column and two rows, or one column and three rows, or one column and four rows. It does not matter, all right? So in other words, a column matrix will have m times 1, because 1 is the number of columns. All right. So here we have what is called, notice it has 1, 2, 3 rows, but only one column. So in general, this is a column matrix, and the order of that matrix, as I mentioned earlier, is m by 1. So always the column is only gonna be one column, and remember, columns are vertically down. All right. The
Suppose I
second,
have more than one.
then it's not a column matrix. The word column is there because there's only one column there. Okay. All right. The next one is a row matrix, and a row matrix which has only one row, or a matrix that only has one row, is called a row matrix. So it can have one row, two columns, one row, three columns, one row, four columns, one row, five columns. It doesn't matter how many columns it has. Once there's only one row, it will be known as a row matrix. And here's an example. See, it has one row, and remember, rows are horizontal, but it has three columns because it has one column there, the other column has the 5, and the third column has 3. So in general, A, matrix A, is a column matrix of order 1 times n being the number of columns. Remember, m talks about rows, n talks about columns. All right. The third type of matrix is called a square matrix. A matrix which has equal number of rows and columns is called a square matrix. Meaning, if I have a 1 by 1, it's a square matrix. If I have a 2 by 2, it's a square matrix. If I have 3 by 3, that's a square matrix. If I have 4 by 4, it's a square matrix. If I have 5 by 5, it's a square matrix. Once the number of rows and the number of columns is the same, then we have a square matrix. So notice this one. It has a square matrix that has 2 rows and 2 columns. So in general, A, this matrix has m rows by m columns. So the same number of rows as the number of columns, which is 2 by 2. So it is a square matrix of order m. All right. If A is the matrix A is a square matrix of order n, then the elements will go A11, A1, A22, A33 until it reaches ANN. Is said to constitute the diagonal of the matrix A. We're going to get into that diagonal things as we go along, because a diagonal, you have two types. There is the leading diagonal, which in this case is the 3 and the 2, and you have the non-leading diagonal, which is the -1 and 5. So we have two types of diagonals.